Hello class, my name is Ruben Prado, and I'll be presenting the concept of semantic rules. Have you ever heard someone say a certain class was easy, and as it turns out, it actually wasn't? Well, that's what's called a semantic misunderstanding. In order to communicate effectively and avoid misunderstandings like this, it is essential to understand the importance of semantic rules. During this speech, I'll be pushing forward 3 main points. First, I will talk about what semantic rules are more specifically. I find this important since the term is rather abstract. Second, I will talk about how the concept influences me. And third, I'll be showcasing an object of my choice associated with semantic rules. Without further ado, let's talk about what semantic rules are exactly. Semantic rules are the certain rule set that determine the meaning and interpretation of words. Let's use the word apple for example. We all know that this word refers to the fruit. But why does it hold the meaning that it does? That's because a person or a group of people from long ago arbitrarily decided it and everyone else agreed to it. That simple. Now that we know what semantic rules are, it's important to know why it even matters. Semantic rules take part in everyone's lives, whether you're aware of it or not. It decides the meaning behind every single word we write, speak, or read. Most people aren't concerned with understanding semantics, in spite of many misunderstandings stemming from it. Many words have similar meanings after all. Therefore, it's important to know the nuances between them. 2 such words whose meanings I had confused until recently were sympathy and empathy. Thinking they were synonymous, I would use them interchangeably. Semantics are of great import during daily life, and that, of course, extends to the act of speaking. Better understanding the concept of semantic rules helps us improve our communication skills. While communicating, you should keep in mind the perspective of the other party. Everyone doesn't interpret words in the same manner since words can have multiple definitions. That's what we call equivocal language. Moving on, I would now like to present the item that I chose. I ended up choosing a trash bag. This item here is related to semantic rules through an anecdote of mine concerning a semantic misunderstanding. This happened a long while back, so that explains why I have here a random unused trash bag and not the original one I used back then. This trash bag I chose represents chores. It's supposed to represent taking out the trash, a staple in terms of chores parents make their children do in order to help around the house. I recall a few instances where my mother would tell me to do my chores, and I would put it off until later. My mom would then get mad at me later on, thinking that I was ignoring her. But the way I interpreted her commands was that the task didn't have a specific deadline, as long as I did it within a reasonable amount of time. From her perspective though, she thought she was telling me to do chores as soon as possible. The specific words she used were being interpreted differently by both sides, causing a misunderstanding. A lack of understanding of semantic rules from both sides was the cause of conflict in this instance. That little narrative was one of the first times I can remember where I learned that people don't always understand words the same way. Not that I knew what semantic rules were back then. In conclusion, semantic rules are what decide meaning in words and how they're to be interpreted. It's part of day-to-day conversation, and like in my case, can cause unfortunate misunderstandings. In order to avoid such mix-ups in communication, it's crucial to have an understanding of semantic rules. With all that said, remember that next time a misunderstanding occurs, not everyone interprets words the same way. You have to consider both perspectives. The fault doesn't lie on one person.